As Manchester City lifted the Champions League trophy on Saturday night in Istanbul, one man was in the middle of it, drinking it all in and reflecting on his incredible rise. Having experienced rejection from English football early in his career, Kevin De Bruyne became a treble winner and was simultaneously confirmed as one of the best players on the planet. His days as a Chelsea prospect seem a lifetime away now. So how has he gone on to do what he's done in the game after such disappointment early on? First of all, let's look at where it all began for KDB. De Bruyne was born in Drongen, Belgium back in 1991 and, bar a brief spell with his hometown club as a child, spent his entire youth career with KRC Genk. This was also the club which gave him his professional debut in 2008, and De Bruyne would go on to play close to 100 games for the four-time Belgian league winners. After guiding Genk to only the third league title in their history in 2011, as well as the Belgian Super Cup, De Bruyne decided to stick around in Belgium for one more season. But considering what he had achieved with the unfancied Genk, he was already on the radar of a lot of European football's top clubs. In the winter transfer window, Chelsea decided to act in a bid to stave off interest from other clubs and signed KDB for €7 million. As a sweetener, they agreed to loan him back to Genk for the remainder of the 2011 to 2012 season, which would also make sure their man was at least experiencing continued first-team football. He joined up with his new teammates in the summer of 2012, making his debut in a pre-season game in the United States. However, it soon became apparent that newly appointed manager Roberto Di Matteo didn't see De Bruyne as an immediate option for the first team, and he was abruptly farmed out to the German Bundesliga and Wolfsburg. I can only imagine what it must have been like for De Bruyne as a newly signed player coming into the Premier League, to then be told you were going to play in Germany. So, how did he get on at Wolfsburg? Well, very well, in fact. The 2012-13 season represented Kevin De Bruyne's first run in a team in one of Europe's big five leagues, and he did not disappoint. After getting off to a good start with 2 goals early in the season, he would finish the campaign with 10 goals in 33 Bundesliga appearances. During this time, De Bruyne would show some of the technical ability we have all come to appreciate him for over the years, and some of European football's best were beginning to take a serious look at him. So much so, in fact, that Chelsea decided he was now in their plans for the upcoming 2013-14 season. After Robert Di Matteo had been given his marching orders by the Chelsea board despite winning the Champions League the previous season, returning Chelsea boss Jose Mourinho assured De Bruyne that he was in his plans. And initially, it seemed as though the Portuguese had kept his word. De Bruyne started the first game of the season, assisting the first in a 2-0 win over Hull, but would only make another 2 league appearances over the first half of the season. He featured sporadically in Europe and the League Cup, but had failed to nail down a regular starting spot, despite being told that was the plan. In January 2013, Kevin De Bruyne's career at Chelsea came to an end, as Wolfsburg signed him for £18 million. Next up, we're heading back to Germany. Throughout the careers of many professional footballers, they'll often have to take what might be viewed as a backward step in order to progress. That was absolutely the case with Kevin De Bruyne, and he won't be the last. What is more important though is how the player deals with what on the surface appears to be rejection. Some have the mental fortitude to go away, get their heads down and play football, which is what our man KDB did. Others, a Ravel Morrison type perhaps, do the exact opposite and waste their talent. De Bruyne simply viewed Wolfsburg as a chance to show Mourinho and Chelsea that they had made a massive mistake. And boy did he show them. In his first full campaign with the Bundesliga outfit, De Bruyne scored 10, but more noticeably, assisted 21 goals in the league, creating a new Bundesliga assist record in the process. He also helped the unfashionable Wolfsburg to second place in the Bundesliga and a Champions League spot in the following season. Oh, and he was also named German Footballer of the Year in 2015 for good measure. The following season appeared as though it was going to be more of the same for the Belgian magician, as he got off to a magnificent start by scoring a penalty in the DFL Super Cup to help his employers see off Bayern Munich. However, his magnificent season the year before hadn't gone unnoticed, and in swoops Manchester City, who were offering massive wages and, more importantly for KDB, a shot at redemption. Kevin De Bruyne was back. So how has his time gone in Manchester? Pretty well. De Bruyne has proven time and time again that Chelsea and Mourinho were quite simply wrong to let him go. The fact that Chelsea have underperformed in the league and had plenty of players who have flattered to deceive since De Bruyne left should serve as some sort of triumph for the Belgian, who can be proud of how he's dealt with the adversity of rejection. Kevin De Bruyne could have been forgiven for sticking it out in Germany and becoming a big fish in a small pond, but that's just not how he rolls. Someone of his ability belongs at the very top of the game, and respectfully, that isn't Wolfsburg. Thankfully, De Bruyne recognised this himself and was more than happy to jump back on the horse and give it another shot. And the blue half of Manchester will be more than happy that he did. Since arriving in Manchester, De Bruyne has been integral to City's successes in the way they play. It seems as though every free-flowing passing move goes through him, and his eye for a pass is second to none. The way in which the Belgian playmaker dictates play is a joy to watch, and even when he's having an off game, he is still immensely dangerous. Having won everything there is to win in the game with his recent treble success, De Bruyne can look forward to his latter years in the game with less pressure on him. No doubt he won't let that affect his impeccable standards though. Let's take a look at the mentality of the man next. To go through what he went through as a young player at Chelsea, being rejected not once but twice by two separate managers, and then to go on to have the career he's had, shows incredible resolve. De Bruyne is one of the most determined individuals in the game, and how he's pushed himself to overcome the setbacks of his early career should serve as an example to any young player who has been written off. He's also known to be incredibly competitive, another reason why he wasn't happy to just settle for life in the Bundesliga. Unfortunately, Wolfsburg probably aren't going to win a Champions League or even Bundesliga title anytime soon, which simply didn't match up to KDB's ambitions. Of course, De Bruyne has plenty of other qualities too. He is highly adaptable and can fit into virtually any system, which simultaneously makes him one of the biggest assets to any team he plays in. He also displays a positive attitude, the likes of which only serial winners possess. His focus and composure instill a certain belief in his teammates, which can only be an inspiration. Obviously, you don't get to where he is without showing other qualities such as leadership and creativity to get your team over that treble-winning line. But the one thing KDB is known for is his resilience. Those early career setbacks have only served to mould the man into the player he is today. His iron will and strong mental focus mean that Kevin De Bruyne has the mentality to overcome virtually anything that's thrown at him, a skill that not many people, let alone footballers, possess. So what can we learn from De Bruyne's story? Well, undoubtedly, the biggest losers in the whole saga are Chelsea. Since Roman Abramovich walked through the door 20 years ago, Chelsea have demonstrated time and again their impatience with youth prospects. This attitude of impatience seems to be continuing under Todd Boehly too. What we should really take away from Kevin De Bruyne's story is that, with the right nurturing, you don't have to spend millions and millions in every transfer window to build a team capable of challenging. When Abramovich came into the Premier League in the early 2000s, he brought with him an instant gratification mindset, which does nothing to help young players who might need a little time to actually show what they can do. In no case, this has been more evident than with KDB. Given the phenomenal talent that De Bruyne possesses and his winning mentality, the likelihood is that he would have prevailed wherever he went after Chelsea. But how many top young talents who are discarded by clubs such as Chelsea fall by the wayside because of how poorly they're treated? My guess is a lot. For every Kevin De Bruyne who uses his adversity as fuel, there are probably 10 Freddie Adus, or Bohan Kirkiks, or Alexandra Paytos. The list goes on and on. Hopefully going forward, more clubs will see what has happened with De Bruyne and be willing to show a little more patience when deciding on the futures of their talented young footballers. Who knows, they might just find a diamond in the rough and save themselves 100 million quid. Wouldn't that be something? The likelihood is, though, that with all the money around the game, we continue to see prodigious young talents sadly kicked to the curb. As usual, thanks for dropping in on us today, and remember to tune in again next time for some more fun and games. And why not do us a solid by liking and sharing today's video, whilst also subscribing to our channel so you don't miss out on more interesting videos in the future.